Welcome to Roundhouse Roulette, a Walker, Texas Ranger podcast. Oh, thanks for joining us as we recap and review one of the 200 existing Walker, Texas Ranger episodes randomly selected by Roundhouse Roulette. I'm Evan Dalton, here with my brother Adam.
What's going on?
And our very own country crooner, Mr. Bob Leahy.
Howdy, y'all.
Bless your heart.
Well, we'd like to thank you all for joining us as we discuss the finer points of music piracy. Of course, that means today we'll be recapping and reviewing Season 8, Episode 6, The Lynn Sisters, where Walker must save a pair of pop stars from evil music execs. But before we grab our Gibsons and fire up our Sony Handycam, join us as we pull up a seat at CD's Bar and Grill. Welcome back, guys.
Yeah, I'm glad we are able to, dig into the music business via Walker today. This is going to be fun.
I learned a lot, guys. I learned a lot.
I was taken back to a pivotal moment in my life, actually, during part of this.
Okay. I'm sure we'll get to it. Yeah.
Oh, we will.
Was it puberty?
I haven't hit that yet.
Okay. Speaking of hitting it, we don't want to do this sober. CD has procured us a Old Speckled Hen English Pale Ale.
That's a direct import from the jolly old England here. This isn't a nitro can, so watch out.
Oh, yeah. If I squeeze it, it's very, very tight.
Oh!
This is a classic English Pale Ale with a crystal malt, which provides the key toffee caramel flavor. Notes from yeast provides the fruity and refreshing balance. And it's got herbal notes from hops and a touch of citrus for this malt-forward, full-bodied ale.
I think they put every keyword in there, so I don't even know how this thing's... let's just pour this thing.
Whoa, baby. Got a live one here.
Yeah, it sounds terrifying.
It's like Star Wars. No, I don't know. Since this is British, I don't know if we should be serving this at room temperature, but...
Ugh. I mean, look at that.
That's a thing of beauty.
That's cascading. Yeah. Adam, how'd yours pour so well? Look at mine.
Well, you said you haven't been drinking for a week, Bob, so I think you're just out of practice,
yeah, that's
right?
True. Yeah.
Adam did pour it into a Guinness glass. Since Guinness is an Irish beer, they probably don't play well together, and so it's not as frothy.
Well, it's a Northern Ireland Guinness glass. So
okay. Well, we know all about that conflict because we learned it in Walker, Texas Ranger.
Right. There are multiple episodes dealing with the North and South Ireland conflict. So
why didn't we drink a Guinness during those?
We didn't. We weren't prepared.
Missed opportunity.
CD, he's very adamant with what he's chosen. I mean, we have to drink whatever he gives us. And cheers, boys.
That tastes British.
That's very smooth. It's like no bite whatsoever.
Have you had the beer Smittix before? That's what it tastes like.
Yeah, it basically tastes like someone dissolved a Werther's Original in some tap water.
It's very comforting. Very comforting. And I feel like I'm sitting on a grandfather's knee. Just not my grandfather, somebody else's grandfather.
Yeah, he's British. All right, so we must have a pretty full mailbag here. What's going on?
Well, yeah, guys, we've all been busy doing a bunch of random stuff. This week, my bluegrass band played the Station Inn in Nashville, which is kind of like a home of bluegrass in Nashville where people play and stuff. And we had never played there before, so we're kind of nervous. And my parents are in town for it. My aunt came in as well. And we're like, are we going to be playing like 5 people? That kind of situation. So it was completely packed. There always are a lot of people who come to town just to go there, regardless of who's playing. So it wasn't necessarily us. But yeah, ended up playing to a full Station Inn, which was ridiculous. And on set break, we had this guy come up to us and he goes, Roundhouse Roulette. And I'm like, what? He goes, and it turned out that this guy, Josh Schaefer, and his wife were visiting from out of state. They saw the Tennessee Warblers were playing the Station Inn. That's the band from Roundhouse Roulette. We got to go. So he dragged his poor wife to come see us at the Station Inn. It was super nice, and we got caught up about some stuff about some insider information of upcoming podcasts we got in the works. So he's privy to that, but super nice couple, and got to meet them. And so we're still on set break, and John and I are like, man, like we weren't planning on playing the Walker theme song because we were kind of like, trying to treat this our first time playing the station in with a little bit of reverence and whatnot. And while we're literally having this conversation, his wife comes up and goes, yeah, he was a little nervous to yell it out during the first set for you to play Walker, because he's like, oh, this just isn't the vibe for them to play with the Walker theme song. But I know he'd really love it if you did. So we're like, damn, we better do it. And Luke, our bass player, he doesn't have it like committed to memory, so he like ran out to his car and got his chart for Walker.
He has a chart for Walker.
What a pro.
Yeah, we laid down the Walker theme song in Josh's honor at the Station Inn.
You won't be asked back to the Station Inn because of it.
Mm-mm.
No.
Dare we say that the roundhouse kick has gone full circle?
Yeah.
While we were also there on topic, our friend of pod, Austin Lauritsen, who is our webmaster and created the Roundhouse ranking system on our website. That's a sortable spreadsheet for, Roundhouse kicks, explosions, our ranking, all that stuff. The whole point of us doing the podcast is so you can sort this stuff on our website, and Austin coded all that stuff. He was there. And so I was like, oh, is Austin there? And we got to shout out our Roundhouse Roulette webmaster at the Station Inn, too. I wanted to bring it up because he recently updated our Roundhouse ranking on the website, so it's more mobile friendly. Whereas before, if you looked at it on the phone on our website, it was kind of only showing 2 columns of certain things. So we kind of prioritized the ranking, so you're able to do that. And if you turn your phone sideways, you get more sortable things like roundhouse kicks, fights, explosions, that kind of stuff. And then if you go to our website on an actual computer, you get even more stuff. But it's a little more mobile friendly now, and we just want to thank Austin for his service to Walkerology here.
That's great. So if you're on the toilet, you can see more columns then.
And I mean, let's be honest, that's where most people check out roundhouseroulette.com is on the dumper.
Yeah. That's a big old dumper.
Well, guys, this is something, Evan, you have been saying, like, oh, people need to comment on our website. There's this one guy, I'm assuming it's a guy because his handle is BJ69.
Nice.
But he
Nice. For the record, we need to acknowledge,
Oh, yeah.
this is episode 69.
oh, this is of Roundhouse Roulette. We've made it that far. I guess it's appropriate we're talking about BJ69's comments on our website.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, yeah, he's been, letting his thoughts be known on all the pages on our website. So much that I can't even respond to all of them. But you think, someone coming and seeing you at your gig in Nashville means that you've made it as a podcaster? No. I think this next thing is on par with that. He created a Roundhouse Roulette fan page for us. And guys, pull up that link there.
Am I going to get a virus?
You have to put on your spam filter first. I mean, did you guys think that we would have a fan page for... Evan, break down this... maybe critique this fan page because, throw some pointers out there for BJ69.
So are we sure BJ69 is a human and not AI?
Ooh, good point.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was it created by AI?
There's some subtle references to the show. It says Roundhouse Roulette is the best Walker, Texas Ranger podcast on the air, which I think we're the only one really running specifically right now for only Walker, Texas Ranger. The podcast is hosted by guys who are on a mission to bring the light of Walker and then parentheses, comma, to the world. So, I mean, there's emphasis on the fact that there are commas after Walker. I mean, that's pretty legit.
It is subtle.
But yeah, he's got that. He's got a gallery of our picture, screenshotted from our website. So expertly done. A message board and a quote zone. In the quote zone, it says the Uzi, and attributed to Bob many times.
I think we all say that, but I'll gladly take credit for it.
That's pretty good. All right. So I think we need to submit something to our own message board right now while on air.
I mean, I don't think we do. If it's a fan page, what subjects of a fan page comment on their own fan page?
That's why we're going to break this fan page right now by doing that while also on the podcast. How meta can we get?
I'm really uncomfortable with this.
All right. What should our name be?
What's Walker's name when they go back in time?
Washo 69?
No. What's
Hayes Cooper?
Hayes Cooper. It's got to be Hayes Cooper.
All right. Hayes Cooper 69.
Hayes Cooper 1869. I think the message should just be, seeing if this works.
Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, we did it. So we'll see what happens.
Submit it, huh? Does it have to be edited, do you think? Or
I don't know. We'll have to check back on our own fan site eventually. But, BJ69, thank you so much for, I don't know. I mean, this is another notch in our belts that we have our own fan page. And,
It's wild.
100%.
All right, well, let's jump into the mailbag here, guys. And, Evan, why don't you take this one?
This is from Jeffrey, and it says, deputies. I suppose that's us.
And what's the title of the email?
Cash for access. They say never meet your heroes, but, quote, they, end quote, also said you could beat Walker. And they were wrong. In Ontario, there's a term, cash for access, which means you pay to rub shoulders with influential figures. My pregnant wife has arranged for us to visit New England in May. I understand that some of you live in New England, and I'm offering cash for access in the form of a meal or beer. While I have no idea where you all live in New England, breathe a deep sigh of relief. And as a Canadian, only recently realized New England isn't a state, I have total control over our travel path as the driver. While I would enjoy putting faces to the names, I would derive lifelong and profound enjoyment from my wife's reaction to this event, which would be kept secret until the meeting. She's not a Walker fan and does not care for the podcast. Despite your well wishes towards our child in the last episode.
Yeah, that child better be named Cordell, male or female.
That doesn't sound like it's happening.
I realize there are risks in celebrities like yourselves going out in public, let alone meeting fans. Please consult your security team. And after that, reflect on what Walker might do if the team says no. Anyway, I think I'm going to Boston and then somewhere in Maine.
Wow. Jeffrey, if you're ever in Nashville, I'm down anytime. Hit me up for sure. Bob and Evan, they live kind of north and south. Here are their addresses. 1 second. It might be tough for them to get out and about, but what do you guys say? Are you guys down to hang with Jeffrey if he comes to your place?
Where is he? What did he say again? Later this month?
They're coming in May.
Oh, in May. It's not May. So far out. Yeah, I can do whatever.
Yeah. All right. So Bob's in.
Bob, maybe we could meet Jeffrey and his pregnant wife at an undisclosed location. Maybe a neutral location, like a Denny's.
No, we gotta go guys in downtown Boston.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah,
You're so
a Guy
right.
Fieri location.
So
yeah.
right.
All right, that's a stipulation, Jeffrey.
Let us show you our fine American cuisine.
That's it. Nothing on the menu at Guy Fieri's is safe for a pregnant person. So
It's true. I think you have to sign a waiver.
All right, so we're putting out the Jeffrey. It's got to be a trash can nachos provided to the guys, and at least 1 or 2 margs a guy. So
maybe.
yeah, and a ride home. They're gonna need a ride home too. All right, which would be a thrill of a lifetime. Maybe for you. I'm not sure if it will be. It sounds like it might be, but Jeffrey, we appreciate the support, man, and keep us posted on that baby name for sure. All right, well, moving on, we heard from our Aunt Kathleen, who has never written into the podcast before. I doubt she listens to it, but she wrote to us here, and what does she say, Evan?
She reached out to you specifically, and she said, I'm getting my certification in addiction, and I'm enrolled in a couple of classes. We should say she's a nurse instructor, I believe.
She's a clinical associate professor.
Yes, among other things. Yes. So she's enrolled in a couple classes, and this was what was in the discussion. I thought you might like it, and this apparently is what's featured. You may remember the TV series Walker, Texas Ranger, back in the 90s, where Chuck Norris once says to a group of, quote, campers who have to pass an outdoors challenge in order to, quote, get clean and not go to jail. Choices and consequences, gentlemen. Good stuff.
So they are using Walker, Texas Ranger quotes in addiction counseling at UMass.
Makes sense to me.
Choices and consequences, gentlemen.
Is that the Camp Justice episode, maybe?
I think it has to be, right? Campers?
It's possible. Unbelievable. Well, I can't wait to get to that one because we have some merch pre-made for that one already. We may or may not have the Camp Justice hat just ready to be put into production when we spin that episode.
Right. This show lives on forever, so.
Oh, no doubt. And I think with it being on like Hulu, I think it's also on, it's on Hulu. It's on a number of different things. People are digging back into it.
I prefer to watch it on Heroes and Icons.
With the commercials?
Absolutely. Yeah. Where it's just like Metamucil.
It's just and reverse mortgage ads.
All right. So we got one last email here. We heard from Zora again.
Fight or die. You just made my day. Well, it's night, but you know what I mean. Greetings, deputies. What do you know? I was listening to the mailbag episode. I thought I'd browse the page to pick another in. Another in? Is that a typo? Is that?
I think that's slang for another
one. I love it.
Another one. Yeah.
And you'd posted fight or die as I was enjoying the mailbag. I remember this episode. I watched it when it aired. Holy hell. 11-year-old me is ecstatic, and 36-year-old me is going to get delightfully stoned and give it a rewatch and follow up with a roundhouse response. Love it. Outstanding.
Unbelievable.
Outstanding.
Yeah, and she adds, P.S. I can't believe Chuck Norris got into those buckets as well, which is, if for those who haven't heard us talk about before, he's selling kind of like doomsday prep food under the name Roundhouse Provisions, which, I mean, he moved in on our podcast name. I mean,
again, I would say to anyone wishing to support us via Patreon or something like that, you can earmark your Patreon contributions. If it's enough for a Roundhouse Provision, next time we get together, we're going to try that.
Oh, we'll do a taste test.
Yeah, we'll give an honest review, a video honest review if someone gets us some Roundhouse Provisions.
Regardless, Zora says, my only awareness of them prior to this was Jim Bakker's utterly unhinged television show selling the same thing. And she sent a link and she said, be prepared. I'm pulling this up right now.
In a few hours, there's going to be an event take place. And you won't get food for 6 months to a year.
We will be right back after this special message.
What?
This is coming. Doomsday clock for global market crash strikes 1 minute to midnight. You hear that, John?
Bible says you got to throw gold and silver in the streets. Tomorrow, we can look back and say, yesterday was the last day to order and get prepared.
This offer comes with 22 buckets, plus a bonus of 6 additional buckets for a total of 28 buckets.
I want to show you something.
Oh,
All
man.
this food is for a gift of $2,500.
Oh.
8 years of bulk food. This is what you should be doing. Wow, John,
That's 8 years of
You're
food.
the right preacher. You told me to do this. They got shovels. By the way, get a shovel. These are foldable shovels. It'll go in your backpack.
Do they sell them
This
too,
is how
or?
you dig the latrine.
Oh, wait.
Did they just put reverb on the word latrine?
And this right
Someone
top.
edited this to make it more
Yeah.
absurd, right? Yeah.
Oh, he's eating. Oh, he's spitting it out.
Wow, that's good. Oh, I mean,
Wow.
right, you know. I'm hungry. I've been on your throat for about 5 hours right now.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, so we get the deal. I mean, maybe $700 is not as bad as we thought.
That's a yikes right there.
Yeah, I'll say.
You know, Chuck is 3 buckets for $700, and this guy's buckets are like for $2,500. I mean, you get.
I mean, Chuck's hunting like dolphins. This guy's hunting whales.
Yeah, this guy's a real pro. He's got it down. But wow, Zora, thanks for sharing that. That's really scary. But there are sharks out there, and apparently Jim Baker's one of them. Don't get bit.
Yeah, I would like to thank Jacqueline in Maine, who sent us a little order in for a Chuck Norris action figure. I can tell you right now, if you're in the market for an action figure, you can't get any better than our Etsy shop, which you can find via our website. I'll say Adam actually washes them, which is more than could be said for most places. And
I've been adapting my cleaning techniques. I used to scrub it and soak it, but now I do a scrub and then I run it through the dishwasher too. But and I try to make sure they're clean for the kids, clean for the adults. You know what I mean? And each one comes with action figure stand and roundhouse roulette sticker.
Well, we've got a lot to cover this week. Let's get on into it. If you're watching along at home or, dare we say, streaming at home and don't want any spoilers, hit that pause button and watch Walker Season 8, Episode 6, The Lynn Sisters. And if you dare, come right back to us. Welcome back. Let's dig into this beast. This puppy originally aired on October 30th, the eve of Halloween, 1999. And it opens on your classic Walker stakeout, where, there's just a little bit of banter between Trevette and Walker in Walker's truck. And this time it's something that the three of us are pretty familiar with. It's a conversation about musical preferences.
Yeah, and it sounds like some kind of blues coming out of Walker's truck radio, and Trevette's like, man, I actually kind of dig this stuff, as opposed to the other crap you listen to with Walker. And Walker's like, what do you mean? And the DJ comes on and goes, yeah, that was Joe Schmo from Texas. and Trevette's like, oh, you knew he was from Texas, didn't you, Walker? Because Walker's hip with all the blues tracks too. He knows. He keeps up with the musical trends.
And Walker's like, I did. And he's like, he's your cousin?
I don't know what that was all about.
I think that was a little poke at the show itself, because he's got friends everywhere. Was that a hint of self-awareness in the show?
No,
probably
hell
not.
no.
Not quite as much as listening to your own theme song in the truck, but maybe.
Right. Which was a different episode. They definitely did that, but it was like a way for them to do a joke at Trevette's expense at the beginning.
Now, I'm going to say this whole episode has a different musical vibe.
Dude.
I dig it.
It's all over the place too. There's Adam, you want to give us a little bit of?
Yeah, it sounded like they had Bobby McFerrin in the shower for a little bit. Then a few times it was like screaming, like it was like they had Joe Perry on a soundstage ripping up a solo.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I was all about it. And that's kind of how like every action scene was like a Joe Perry guitar solo, which was sick. And before we even get into this episode, the pacing on this episode never stopped. It never let up.
No,
I loved it.
Fierce.
So, yeah, I mean, they there's that little comment about music, and then they immediately, the people that they're looking to bust at this warehouse pull up, and it's just a classic Walker warehouse bust. We're talking cardboard boxes, piles of cardboard boxes everywhere.
How many cardboard boxes were killed in this fight sequence?
So many.
Man.
You've got scaffolding. People can get thrown off that. Oh, wait, they do. You got it all. It's great. And, I love that they just like run in with their guns. And Gage and Sydney are there. This is season 8. So Gage and Sydney play a pretty big role in this one. Take a lot of the action, a lot of the stunts. But, their classic response is like, oh, let's go in for this bust with our guns. The guys see the guns and then immediately scramble.
Right. So they can do fisticuffs. And there's one point, like, Sydney jumps over this, like, thing and flips over it and kicks the gun out of the bad guy's hand. She's doing, like, a contortionist act of, like, gymnastics, kicking people's ass.
Yeah, I will say everyone basically got one person, and they just kept showing shots of them taking the people out. And Sydney, like the guy that she was taking out, had like a bucket hat or something. And she like knocked him out 4 times in this fight.
So good. It's so good. And it's not that Chuck didn't get some fights in. Everybody got the punches in. They're like, we got 4
sure.
people, and we're going to spend at least 5. It was at least a few minutes of them just kicking the crap out of people with screaming electric guitar in the background. And I was all for it. And a lot of times these opening scenes are kind of like a previous case that's not tied to the main storyline, but they actually tied this whole bust to the storyline.
What's in all the boxes, Bob? What?
These are counterfeit CDs or pirated CDs. They can tell because they don't have serial numbers, which
right.
I wasn't sure that CDs had serial numbers until I watched this episode. So I learned something today.
Do they, though?
No, they did not.
Well, you guys are in luck because I worked in CD manufacturing for 10 years.
Yeah, this
so
really
I know the ins and outs. This episode, it was like, I feel like this episode was genetically engineered in a lab for me.
It was.
For all these reasons.
It was written just for you.
Yeah, so I guess they're selling bootleg CDs on the black market of the Lynn sisters, and the guy who was flipping them there was some producer.
Wait. There are some people listening to this. They might not know what the music industry. What? How did you get music in 1999, Bob? How did you get music?
I had a compact disc on my desk here up until earlier today, but otherwise I'd show it to you just to remind you of what it was. It's this circular plate made out of plastic with some sort of metal adhesive that has created little divots that represent 1s and 0s that are then decoded into digital music.
By a laser.
Yeah,
optically
of course,
by a laser. Created into music, compact disc, CDs to the lay people. It came after vinyl records. That was really the 80s and 90s and into the 2000s. CDs were how people listened to music. You didn't stream. So this is how musicians made their money, from CDs. And then there's this black market producer who somehow got a master copy of the Lynn Sisters album and is using a bootleg, a duplication factory or replication factory to make CDs to sell in the black market. Don't do musicians like that.
Can people get our podcasts on these compact discs? Maybe we should look into that.
Yeah, we could release do you want to hear a Roundhouse Roulette on a CDR?
I'm sorry. I think you can only fit about like 80 minutes on there. We never get a podcast on there.
Double albums every episode.
We could get them maybe on a data CD with MP3s. We could do it. That's about it. Well, regardless, man, this is like, it's like classic. Like, because CDs were the way people made money. I will say the Tennessee Warblers sold a few CDs this week, and we haven't sold any for a while. So they're still selling slowly. But, people back in the day, they'd order thousands of CDs, and we ordered the minimum of 100. So, CDs nuts. Oh, yeah, and we should say, we're going to say CDs a lot in this, and we're not talking about bar and grill. Okay?
Important distinction.
Although he does play an important role in the episode, so.
He certainly does. And let's get into the Lynn sisters. These are the actual daughters of country music legend Loretta Lynn. And they're actually in this episode. And they had an album. I think they only did one album on a major label. And it came out right around this time this episode was out. So they're probably using that to cross-promote. Yeah, so essentially they bust this producer who's turning these CDs. And it kind of gave me a flashback because we would get manila envelopes with a master copy of these CDRs that are made to be then sent off to production. That was my job for 10 years. And this guy has one that is, he's using to make bootleg copies. So, and we always had to be really careful that if we got like something from a major label or whatever, not to, that's your job, is to make sure that's secure.
So don't sell it to someone else to make bootleg copies? Was that part of it?
Exactly.
Yeah,
you want to make sure it doesn't get into the hands of a greasy producer like this guy. And he goes out and makes all these bootleg copies of, the Lynn sisters. And yeah, just for the record here, there are two ways to manufacture CDs. You can do your standard burnt CD, which is lower quality, and you're burning into a disc, and that would have the serial number of the run of CDRs that you might be able to trace back to a shipment where those went. Probably unlikely. If you replicate a CD, which is when they create like a glass stamper and physically stamp out the discs, then they each have a code on the inner rim of the CD that you could also trace back to the plant. So there is some truth to that here.
Chances that your typical Texas Ranger is going to even know about the stamping process seems pretty slim. Well,
Walker, he knows where certain blues musicians hail from. So he probably knows the ins and outs of the record business. He's a singer himself too, which we'll get into. Chuck Norris,
All right. So we've gotten past the first 3 minutes of the episode. So yeah, you've got this warehouse and you've got over 1 million pirated CDs that are about to get out in a shipment, and they busted this. And this is like equivalent of like a major drug bust back in 1999, which like seems so quaint now.
You know what? They treat this bootleg CDs as if they were like cocaine.
Yeah.
In the gang that's protecting them and doing this whole thing, it seems a little extreme for the music business, but I love it.
But if each one of them is worth $10, there you go.
They crack open the box. Like, it's pure. It's pure.
It's pure gold.
So anyways, this producer guy, he gets busted before he can pass off the master disc to the Lynn sisters to his contact. And they're like, "Oh, who's your contact?" He's like, "Oh, they got spooked. They won't be here." And then we get to see them. And this is a pair of brothers. They're at a recording studio called Burnin' Records. And these guys are in a phone conversation with a dude driving around or being driven around in a limo that's got the license plate Senator. Did you guys notice that?
I didn't notice that.
The guy from Lost? Is that what we're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And the first shot, it says Senator. But so I was like, oh, wow, like politicians are into this. And later in the episode, he's in another limousine. And I'm like, oh, it's a Senator limousine again. Different license plate. So I think they just used stock footage of a limousine, and it was from another episode where there was a senator being driven around. From the whole episode, I was like, oh, wow, like the government, there's a senator here. Like, this is a big deal. He's just some dude.
We're to assume he's a foreign trader, right? Black market guy?
I don't know. But he's pretty upset that, his shipments got interrupted here. And these two brothers at Burnin' Records are saying, "Oh, don't worry. We're gonna take care of this." And they end their phone conversation, and their secretary, let's see, what's her name?
She's like kind of listening in and overhears the conversation of them, like, and she's looking at like, "Oh, this doesn't sound like a conversation I should have heard," kind of thing.
And then she's standing there, like, very obviously in the doorway, like, "Oh, whoops. Oh, my bad. See you later."
Yeah.
So these two execs at Burnin' Records, they're pretty classic bad guys here. One of the brothers is like total smarm fest in like his super suave outfit. And the other dude looks like that actor who played Shaggy in the Scooby-Doo movie from like I Know What You Did Last Summer. So he's like in a floral, loose fitting floral shirt that's like half buttoned up, starting at the belly button.
It's good look.
Yeah.
Unbuttoned. Yeah. Anyways, those two guys have this sketchy conversation with Khan, their buyer, and Helen, their secretary, who's, a little nosy, but maybe she's overheard a little too much. They see her looking at that, and I don't know. Things don't seem to be boding too well for Helen. Back at Ranger headquarters, Walker and Trevette are, they're talking about the Lynn sisters, and Trevette's like, "Man, I'm surprised you like that pop music." And Walker's like, "Well, why is that? And he's like, "Well, none of it. It's all digital now. This is the music business. It's all, I bet even the Lynn sisters aren't even singing their actual records.
Shots fired.
I mean, that's more true today with the AI singing and stuff too.
AI even creates web pages, like fan pages for things.
Yeah, like podcasts like this. And in fact, we're AI. The three of us have been AI the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Wait, you are too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I knew you guys were. We have never talked about the fact that this is all just a giant scam. This podcast.
I don't know who we're scamming, but okay.
But I loved how he was like, yeah, most people don't really sing, and it's all doctored in the studio. And I'm thinking, man, I can only imagine what the Chuck Norris recording session for the theme song of Walker, Texas Ranger was like.
I don't know. What did they have the ability to do?
Oh, there were ways to tune, from what I understand, back to the 70s. They were doing stuff like that. And you can edit takes, and you can have ghost singers go on your record. In fact, on one of the posthumous Michael Jackson records that came out, it was found out that they had an impersonator sing on a few tracks on the official album.
Anyways, Walker, he knows everything better than anyone. And he's like, well, why don't you just ask him? And Trevette's like, yeah, I'm just going to do that. And Walker's
just ask him if they can sing or not. Yeah, Walker, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, they're right behind you, Trevette.
Sure, Walker. Sure.
And they actually are, because lo and behold, CD's friends with their agent.
He's an old friend of their agent.
Hashtag old friend.
We'll see what happens with that.
Probably bodes pretty well for him.
Yeah.
The same thing that always happens.
Yeah.
He kind of brings him into the Rangers office. I think is kind of like a thank you for getting those bootleg versions of their CD off the market. And they've offered to play a benefit concert at CD's Bar and Grill, which, I mean, come on. That's on the up and up. Props to the Lynn sisters there.
Absolutely. So, we've established the direct connection between the Rangers and the manager for the Lynn sisters, and they've all met. So they now all know each other. So this episode's starting to get good, but let me tell you, it's about to heat up. Get real juicy.
So the guy they're trying to sell to is like an Asian guy in a suit who you're like, maybe he knows karate because that's the way these things go. He's the one they're selling these bootleg discs to. He's the big buyer, and he already fronted them $2 million to get this whole heist together, and he hasn't seen anything for his money yet. So he's shaking these two brothers down, and he's like, man, if I'm either going to get my money with the profit back, or you guys are going to be dead, essentially. And since the brothers know that their CDs got stolen from the warehouse, they can't give the CDs to this guy, and it's their lives or give the CDs to him. And they come up with pretty much the most logical solution. If they can't give Lynn sister CDs to this guy to save their lives, why don't they just give the actual Lynn sisters to him?
It's a natural next step.
Yeah, we're all like, yes, please kidnap them. This is awesome.
It only gets better, though.
Oh, exactly. We'll get into this, but this is kind of what you're thinking. They're like, what are they going to do? Okay. And then they kind of pack up their bags, and they're like, oh, we're going to go off to kidnap the Lynn sisters. And then they kind of like have like a nice goodbye with the receptionist. What do they say to her?
They're like, oh, Helen, we're going away for a little while. We're going on vacation. Hey, that means you get half time with full pay. Just don't forget to feed the fish. Then the bro brothers like, have a killer week.
Like kind of surfer style. I got to be honest, I was not expecting what happened next because it was so extreme.
Okay, so they say, have a killer week. And then they go downstairs and get in a van, a super dope black van, by the way, with Eric Estrada of Chips fame. And he's got all these scars all over his neck and face that are obviously fake, and but they're put there to make him look super tough. And he's a mercenary who is going to kidnap the Lynn sisters. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I got this on lock."
They're like, "Can you do it within 24 hours?" He's like, "Oh, 12, easy."
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
And so they pull off, and then we clip back to the office, and the receptionist is like getting her bags, like, "Oh, I'm gonna make some money without doing any work. That's great." and she leaves, and then she's like, oh, I forgot to feed the fish. So she goes back into the office. You see the fish tank, and I'm thinking, like, in my Walker mind, she's going to come across something that's going to, like, tip her off to the plan kind of thing. But no, she, like, opens up, presumably, like, the office drawer where they keep the fish food, and there's a classic Walker time bomb just waiting for her, and it is amazing.
It says C4 right on it.
And no sooner does she go like, ah, that we see like the whole upper deck of this building get blown up. It's like the third floor is where their office is. And I was just like, wow, they had come in hot with this episode, and it doesn't let up.
I literally laughed out loud when
No, I definitely laughed too. What? There are multiple times in this episode where I was almost crying, but that was one of them. But that was a little extreme.
Very extreme, but effective.
I mean, the music business is cutthroat.
So now we've got, Burning Records. They just blew up their paper trail and their receptionist, the only witness. And they've just hired a mercenary to kidnap the Lynn sisters. Meanwhile, Gage and Sydney, they're trying to track down who was going to be the buyer for the CDs. And they end up at another place that's not Burning Records. What is it?
Smokin' Dubs.
Smoking Dubs. I mean, there's a theme here.
And this is an actual recording studio. The other place was a record label, so you got to distinguish those.
Adam, I think you need to describe what happens here, because you also spent a fair amount of time as an intern in a recording studio. So, have you ever, when you were sitting in the recording studio, did you ever imagine a Walker-esque shakedown / brawl inside a recording studio?
I currently work at a place called Nashville Recording Supply, where I sell to recording studios. So this episode was tailor-made for me. They have a whole Gage and Sydney busting heads inside of a recording studio, literally pitching a guy's body through the glass divider between the tracking room and the control room. Yes, please.
Like any fight scene in Walker, you have to imagine like the people that are working at the recording studio, they just without hesitation just drop everything and then fight these people. These people have no idea how to fight. I mean, was that what you learned? I mean, with an audio background.
Bob is a engineer himself, so he knows exactly what's up.
And I learned how to fight. I learned how to fight early because you never know. This kind of thing might happen, so you better be ready to throw hands, all right? At any moment.
We've been over this before. This is the Texas code where, if a cop shows up, you surrender. But if a Texas Ranger shows up,
you got to fight.
You fight them hand-to-hand combat.
Fight.
Like, you don't
have guns, you throw them on the ground.
Oh, my God. And there was a tape machine in the background. It was just like, oh, dude, this is sick. A lot of sound foam, isolation foam, all this stuff. Ridiculous. But I guess they were kind of saying they weren't doing recordings there, even though they had the set of a recording studio. Presumably they were making the bootleg duplicated copies there.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah. So they're, taking these people into custody, presumably, and Gage recognizes one of the guys as an informant he used previously. And he's like, wow, you're in the music business now. You better tell us what you know. And the guy's like, no, man, I'm not going to squeal, because if people find out I squealed, it's not going to look good on me. And they're like, well, if you don't squeal, we're going to tell people you squealed. And he's like, well, I guess you got me. I'm going to squeal now. But he does in front of his, two co-conspirators. So now everyone knows that he squealed.
Yeah.
It's a little sloppy.
Classic Walker.
Anyways, so they find out about Burning Records, which Walker and Trevette go and visit. But it's been blown up. And in case there was any guess or any question as to whether Helen was dead, we see her taken out in a body bag.
Didn't end well for Helen.
Yeah. And at this point, I know, Bob, have you ever heard the Hunter S. Thompson quote about the music industry?
No, I don't think so.
He says, the music business is a cruel and shallow money trench, a long plastic hallway where thieves and pimps run free and good men die like dogs. There's also a negative side.
Oh,
Yeah, and I mean this episode really kind of plays out with that. So
well, yeah, like the fire department's there at this building that just exploded, and they're like, "Why are the Texas Rangers here? You guys are investigating arson now?" And it's like, I think it's a bit more than arson. It was blown up.
Yeah.
like, I feel like everyone in the metro area should probably know about that, right? Like,
it was pretty awesomely blown up too, I must say. Like,
yeah, that was like 50% of their budget for sure, was that explosion. It was massive. So next we get the bus hijack. Certainly a highlight of the episode. We get to see the Lynn sisters tour bus. And
going down a Texas highway, and they're singing like a song, like a religious duet, and strumming a gorgeous Gibson Jumbo acoustic guitar. Very good. Sister Harmony's going, and their kind of producer or manager who's friends with CD is on the bus there too. Like, he's just lying back with his giant Texas belt buckle, enjoying the Lynn sisters in this bus. And so then the Prowler van of these
Eric Estrada in the Prowler van with the headset with the little wraparound microphone. The episode had me already, but like, this was too good. He's like, "You got eyes on him, Bushmaster?" And there's some dude with a sniper rifle in the bush. He's like, "This is Bushmaster. I see the bus coming."
Yeah, and we're like, yeah, he's got a rifle. Is he gonna, like, I don't know, I guess he's gonna shoot out the tires or something, and that's he does. And so the bus starts like squealing, and the giant tour bus starts squealing, and the driver's like trying to control it and brings it to a stop, and all three of the men who were on the bus like rush out to check out what's going on, and the sniper, I'm like, okay, is he gonna kill people?
Bushmaster means business.
Yeah. So and no sooner do I start thinking he's not gonna shoot. Oh, he's gonna systematically just off these guys with a sniper rifle, and the Lynn sisters come out there to see what's going on, and everybody they knew was shot down and killed around them.
Pretty much. And meanwhile, the Prowler van squeals up, and the main mercenary dude, Eric Estrada, gets out, as does this like enormous dude dressed in all black leather, which I don't know if he had feathers in his hair, but in my mind's eye, he does.
That guy ruled. Yeah.
Right. And they run over and they grab the Lynn sisters, and the Lynn sisters agent or whatever, he struggles with this huge guy and rips the huge guy's one of his sick earrings off of his ear, and there's like a really gross tearing noise. Excellent Foley art on this one.
Good Foley.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the manager gets shot and he goes to the ground. Yeah, but he's holding the earring in his hand, which was like a pistol or something like that, like a gun.
Exactly. Yeah. And then they throw the Lynn sisters in the van, and I'm like, at this point in the background, I saw like a big Mack truck or something pulling up around. I'm like, did they just make a mistake? Like
filming, yeah.
You know, yeah.
That's what I thought too.
But no, they've got a whole plan here. These guys are supreme pros. So they throw all the dead bodies back in the bus, and then that truck is actually a tow truck, which they then use to pull the truck and everything else somewhere where it won't be discovered while they drive away with the Lynn sisters and deliver the goods. Real pros. So, back at Ranger headquarters, Walker and Trevette, they've actually looked into who owned Burnin' Records, and they find the Washburn brothers, who have quite the notorious past, including like suspected murder and a bunch of other things. Also, suspected arson of burning down their previous recording studio. The question is,
so they've done this before.
They've got a style.
Right. That's why they call it Burnin' Records.
Burning CDs and burning secretaries.
So obviously these guys seem like, pretty bad news. Meanwhile, CD runs in. He's all worried because he hasn't heard from his pal, who is their manager. Spoiler alert, he gone.
The old friend, he gone.
Yeah, no more.
Yeah. And the Lynn sisters haven't checked into their hotel, so pretty fishy.
And CD, he's looking for the extra beer sales from that concert that they're going to have over there.
It's true.
Indeed.
Did you guys notice that CD also goes, they're supposed to be in San Antonio? The way he pronounced San Antonio.
Oh, so good.
Chef's kiss.
I mean, Noble Willingham, a true thespian.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, they're missing, and everyone's on high alert here. And for good reason, because we get to see the Lynn sisters get delivered to the cabin in the woods.
So yeah, the creepy van that they were put in pulls up to this compound. It's like a cabin in the woods. And there are a ton of guards. It's like a drug cartel for the music industry or something here. And did we see the Uzi? One of the guys brandishing the Uzi? Or it was like a semi-automatic thing?
Might have been
like
more than one.
I don't think we saw the Uzi, but we definitely saw the bomb in this episode. We saw that prop.
So they get out of the van, and the two music business brothers bring them into the cabin, and they pretty much say, hey, look, no need to worry. We just brought you here so that you can record a song and music video for us. You can do it, right? And they're like, well, what if we don't? And they're like, you don't even want to think about what that would entail.
And they're like, well, we actually just saw 4 people get gunned down 5 minutes ago, so we probably have a pretty good idea.
Yeah, did you guys notice how well they seemed to take that? Like, they didn't seem...
that's what I was going to say. Exactly.
Great singers, great musicians, not great actors.
Bob, don't be ridiculous. Have you heard them sing? Their voices, they speak of a world of hurt that they've been through. This is probably not even top 10 for them.
Yeah,
well, you say she's like, oh yeah, a lot of our bus drivers get shot every day,
and our managers and friends and roadies.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like the 4th time this month.
Happens all the time.
But I don't know. I think they were great actors on the show. It just they probably weren't told to. There wasn't even time. This episode moved so fast. There wasn't even a beat where they could be remorseful for anyone's death. It moved so fast.
They couldn't process their grief.
We couldn't either because there was so much action happening here.
Speaking of that, Gage and Sydney, they're basically out in a helicopter. There are a lot of helicopters in this episode too.
Yeah,
I mean,
great.
Loving it.
So they're on the helicopter looking for the van, and they're like, man, I can't find it anywhere. Can't find it. And Sydney's like, what's that down there? And she's like sitting behind Gage in the helicopter. And Gage is like, where? And she's like, next to the building. And he's like, yeah, that. They covered it in like camo cloth and all that stuff, but they find it. They call it into Walker. Walker and Trevette get helicoptered over to it.
Walker comes up, and we never see anybody go in the bus where they put all the dead bodies. Walker comes up, engages, and Sydney's like, oh yeah, they're all dead in there. You know what I mean? And then we didn't find any evidence. Walker goes in and immediately finds the earring in like a pitch black tour bus.
Yep. And he's like, wow, find out where this earring came from.
And then we instantly cut to it. There are so many hard cut edits in this that honestly, I enjoyed it because it made all these things go so quick. But the editor on this was A+. He goes right to Ranger headquarters, and Trevette's at his computer Googling the gun-shaped earring. And they're like, well, there's a lot of manufacturers of this, but I don't know.
Trevette's like, they sell us at like 30 different places. And Walker just looks at the list and he's like, check this place out, 38 special. Seriously, though, that earring was just so caught up in you that they had to go to that bar. So, I mean, that's what the guy did. I mean, Walker was able to pry it out of his hands, even though he was dead. And so Walker was like, you know what? He was holding on loosely. So let's check out the 38 special.
Don't let go. All right.
Yeah, just don't. Whatever you do.
So this, I was really, you feel like you're gonna get another Gage and Sydney kind of scene where you kind of want some more Chuck Norris. This was amazing.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
It's just so good. So they show up. They show up to the 38 special, which we haven't had a good bar name for a while. This one's solid because the guy actually his gun of choice is a 38 special.
Yeah,
I mean, really on the nose. But they show up and they're about to enter the place, and they see the guy with like a giant bandage on his ear, and they're like, "Boy, he looks like he had his earring ripped off." I mean, I'd also say he's dressed like a mercenary.
A lot of leather, and they just go, well, let's see if we're Texas Rangers, shoot us, is what they say. And so he instantly like pulls his gun and start amazing just like shootout
in the street.
yeah, with Sydney and Gage firing their guns in trading off shots with this guy and his lackey there, and the mercenary with his earlobe that was ripped off, and his buddy run into the bar, and Gage is like, I'll go around the side, Sydney, you go around the front and just wait out here. I'll try to smoke them out. And we think we're going to follow Gage, but instead we follow Sydney, and she disobeys his order. Not that either one of them has superiority or anything. They're equals as far as I know. But so she goes in, and he goes in, and we're like, are they going to shoot each other? What's happening here?
They meet up in the middle, and just as they meet up, they're basically surrounded by like 50 people with guns. This is where I was like, in my head, I'm trying to do the calculations. I'm like, at what point do the Rangers have the upper hand here? Like, because this often happens in episodes, and then people just sort of kept coming out of closets and down staircases and stuff, such that there were like 20 people with guns and 2 Rangers with guns. But if it were like 4 people with guns and 2 Rangers with guns, they'd have a fist fight. They wouldn't have a gunfight. They'd have a fist fight.
Well, I don't know. They're trailing these guys, and I love this because they go, where are the bad guys? And then the bad guys go, oh, we're right here. And then they come out of nowhere, and they're surrounded by like maybe 10 bad guys with guns. And they go, you got any last words, Ranger? And then Gage is like, I'd love to stick that gun up your nose and blow some sense into you, or something stupid like that.
Clean out your sinuses.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to go out. I mean, I really wish you would have had... That could have been his last retort.
Yeah, but instead he's like, oh, I got 3 more words.
Sydney goes, can you say something that won't get us killed, Gage? And he goes, okay. And this is bad. This is so good. This is so good. I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
I got 3 words. What are they, Bob?
Walker and Trevette.
Crash through a window.
Yeah, they come crashing through the window.
Yeah, so they bust through the windows, and then everyone, for some reason, drops their guns, and they all start fighting with their fists, which is good.
The ratio had equalized such that, okay, put down your guns, it's a fist fight.
And just like at the beginning of the episode, every main character, Walker, Trevette, Gage, and Sydney, get multiple roundhouse kicks, ridiculous jump kicks, everything, and the sound effects were out of control.
So... They have this giant fight, and then they take in the leader of the mercenaries for questioning. Meanwhile, back at the lodge, we get to be flies on the wall for the exclusive music video of the Lynn sisters. And let me tell you, it is a stink fest.
Yeah, so you get the skeezy music producer's buddy there with the camera, and the other guy's kind of directing the audio. And they do have an audio engineer in the back, too. So there's a guy running sound. The Lynn sisters have a few mics around them, and they're singing this song. And while they're singing, the brothers, the music business brothers, are talking exposition in the same room that if you were doing an actual recording would be picked up. This is a no-no.
Yeah, also, one of them is holding the video camera that's supposedly doing the music video.
Right. And they're talking shop. And this is actually where we learn their actual plan. They go, yeah, we're going to have this song, and it's going to be worth a lot more since it's going to be their last song. Oh, yeah. And then I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. And then the guy's like, hey, be careful. You're filming the camera. And they're using like a camcorder that your dad would record a soccer game with in like the 90s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a Sony Handycam. I mean, that thing's legit.
That's the output they show, too. They have like a monitor that's playing it, and then they show us it like in the show, and it's like, man, this guy's the worst cameraman. There's like a shot of him straight down. Like,
he's got like right in her face.
Yeah. It's like
and it's got a power cable attached to it.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing like God vision with it. And, it's like, what is happening here? But now we know, they plan to kill the poor Lynn sisters here. I mean, they're never going to get out.
And the guy's like, we got to take care of our resources, and obviously they're tired. So let's stop this cut right in the middle of the song, and send them to bed. And so they go to bed and they're like, well, what are we going to do? We can't get out of here. And one of the sisters is like, I know what we'll do. We'll exercise our artistic license. We'll stall. Meanwhile, we get to see Alex use her interrogation skills, and they're trying to threaten this mercenary dude named Brock, and he's like, you guys can't scare me. There's nothing you can do to me that I haven't seen before. And they're like, well, we could send you to Afghanistan again. They want you. And he's like, I'm an American citizen. You can't do that. They're like, oh, Miss Texas, we could.
Yeah. Alex is like, oh, well, I made some calls and Judge is totally cool to send you to Afghanistan. And Walker's like, yeah, you know how they kill people there?
It's like,
just like, geez, Walker.
Yeah. They force feed you meals from a bucket.
Have you heard of Roundhouse Provisions?
So the guy's like, okay, I'll tell you where they are. So, of course, they got to take the chopper again, and they go to the lodge this time. Meanwhile, the buyer, Khan, he arrives on an airplane and gets into a limo, and he's got a whole bunch of goons and what looks like a backing band. There's like a dude with a guitar case.
Yeah, I'm like, is it a guitar? Is it a rifle? I thought it might be an instrument. It might be a gun. Like maybe he's planning on kill people.
Yeah, it was like a keyboard case.
He's wearing like a top hat, but he's not like of Asian descent. He's just a straight up white dude.
He looks like James Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
He has a scarf and then like a fedora. I was thinking like, oh, well, he's bringing a backing band, like they're going to play in the recording. Anyways, they start driving, and so everything's going to come to a head here. Khan arrives at the lodge with his goons, and he hands the 2 briefcases to the brothers, and then he's like, okay, let's go see what's going on. And the brothers look at the dude with the top hat, and they're like, yeah, what's that all about?
Yeah, what's this guy doing here? But Khan's kind of like, oh yeah, I like what you guys are doing here. Like the vibe's cool. I thought he might try to off the brothers, because that usually happens, that kind of thing. No, he doesn't. He doesn't do that. He's just like, here's your money.
So they go in and they're like, okay, so this is going to be the Lynn's last recording. And the guy's like, oh yeah, I was planning for that. In fact, my weird James Taylor dude over here, he's going to do it for us. And he opens up the briefcase and there's a freaking like Arabian cutlass.
It's like an Arabian sword. It's like, what is happening? And so
I'm like, what? Where is this episode going? And the guy's like, yeah, he's going to kill them after they record their song on video.
In fact, it's like, okay, girls, do your last take. And so they're singing the song that they've been singing the whole time, presumably for the last time. And the surfer dude is using the dad cam to record it. And we're seeing the dad cam vision. And we're like, oh, are they going to kill him after the cut's done? Or, no, they're just going to send the sword guy in now while they're doing the take. So the guy's like circling behind them with this like James Taylor-ish dude in a top hat with an Arabian sword, like bringing the sword across their cheek. And one time he like threw it down fast right between them. And you're like, what is happening here? What?
And pardon the pun, the sword sound effects were on point. Like,
dude, I was dying when this was going on.
So when Adam and I were in high school, we were in a band.
Oh, dude, this is exactly what I thought of, Evan. Go. I was glad you brought this up.
So Adam and I were in a band, okay, in high school, and we were like, I don't know, we were terrible, and somehow someone had a connection with this guy who was like,
do you know Matt Jones? Matt Jones, he played bass with us in college, Bob. Matt Jones?
Yeah, sure. I remember that.
Yeah. Well, one summer he goes, hey man, there's this B3 player, and Evan and I live in Massachusetts, near Plymouth, Mass, and he goes, yeah, there's this B3 player I play with sometimes, and he's looking for a band to go play this private gig at a mansion in Rhode Island. So it's kind of like, we're like maybe 20, maybe not. I don't know if I could even drink at that time when we were doing this. And we're like, well, yeah, let's do it.
It was in like Newport, right? I think I've heard part of this story.
It was in Newport.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so Evan's on drums and I'm on guitar, and we were just going to show up to play with this guy must have been like 50 or 60 on B3. He had like a Hammond XK organ, and I think Matt played bass, and we just met them all down there for this, and we pull up to this mansion on the ocean. They had a pool that overlooked the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, one of the walls in the bathroom was like a 700-gallon saltwater fish tank. They had like inlaid hardwood compass rose in one of the rooms in the floor that was like oriented to true north. It was insane.
And they asked us right when we were about to leave, they said, oh yeah, be sure to feed the fish before you get out, is what they said. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, but they had but it was so bizarre. It was like this weird bohemian birthday bash or something.
Yeah, we set up in their living room, like right?
Yeah.
And it was like vaulted ceiling. I just remember it was a really high ceiling, and we set up there and played.
They were blasting like Mark Anthony through the in-house speaker system everywhere while we were playing our music. but yeah, we were playing for a while, and I don't know, like we probably thought we sounded great or something. I'm sure we were terrible. But halfway through, they're like, "Oh no, you got to stop! Like we're gonna do like birthday cake and a special." Like a special, I don't know, something. And we're like, okay, whatever. So we just sort of like stood by our instruments and like they sang happy birthday or whatever. And then this dude, which honestly, I don't even remember the dude. I remember what happened. So now that I've seen this on Walker, I'm just imagining that dude.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
But basically this, skinny white guy comes out with freaking sword and starts doing like sword dancing in the middle of this room, like whirling around.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the middle of a room, like it's a room full of people, and he's just swirling around with a sword, and he's making these noises with his mouth, like. and we're all looking at each other like, what is happening right
it's
now?
Like, this is what rich people are into?
The answer is absolutely.
Yeah, clearly, yes.
Okay, Adam, here's the question. That event took place after 1999. So, did they see it on an episode of Walker and they were inspired?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's quite possible that this episode inspired them to greatness. And they could have tried to get the Lynn sisters to play and probably couldn't afford them, or they probably just were on tour.
But yeah, that is all I could think of when, there are these hapless musicians who are fearing for their life, and there's a dude swinging a sword around, like this random awkward dude who does not look anything like if you saw this person on the street, you'd never be like, oh yeah, that dude like in his free time just swings around a sword.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But you know what? On the weekends, he does.
One of the weirdest gigs I've ever played in my life, for sure. And the guy in the Walker episode, you're like, this guy has a story. I want to know this guy's backstory.
Yeah, seriously.
He might be my favorite bad guy. I mean, I think from my perspective, we need a Lazarus type backstory for that dude.
The guy doesn't say a word, I don't think. No. He just breaks out a sword and starts swinging it around, and well, eventually we'll get to what happens next.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So the Rangers arrive in their helicopter, and it's like, okay, you've got these two high-profile hostages who've been kidnapped. You know the location.
And you send in 4 Texas Rangers.
Exactly.
Not the whole SWAT team.
Yeah, you send a helicopter with 4 Texas Rangers. That's it. And spoiler alert, it's fine. But still, don't you want it to look a little better than, if something went wrong?
This compound, too, is heavily guarded. It's like there are drug dens in Walker episodes with less goons with guns than in this episode. So they get down and they just are firing back and forth like crazy. There is the actual scene of Gage jumping and shooting a gun at the same time that they use at the intro of Walker Texas Ranger episodes is from this episode. And that was badass.
He Steven Seagal's it, yeah.
That's a badass shot. That was a sick move, too. I see why they took it.
And in this episode, did you guys notice they used squibs?
Oh, yeah.
So,
a few times on people's legs and stuff.
Yeah, so when people got shot, they actually had the bullet wounds or whatever in their clothes.
Oh, man. So Gage and Sydney and Trevette are kind of like outside taking out the bad guys. And there's a lot of like really sick moves they do and stuff. But Walker goes inside, and he gets to go inside to try to save the Lynn sisters.
He walks inside and he's got his gun in front of him, and this one goon who's just he looks like an extra out of like Northern Exposure. He's like in like a vest, and his signature move is to just like bear claw things.
Yeah.
He bear clawed Walker's gun to the ground.
He bear claws Walker's gun to the ground, and honestly, like there was such a hard cut there. I was like, wait, Walker never gets disarmed. Did he disarm somebody? And then I realized, oh no, that was his gun. And then Walker takes out the bear paw guy, but the bear paw guy is just going like doggy paddle.
I mean, you think the episode can't get any better, and it sets up Walker, no weapons, facing James Taylor with a Arabian sword going at him.
How do we get here, guys? This what?
I don't know, but I love it.
But yeah, so Walker goes fighting with the guy with the Arabian sword, and dude, Walker turns a mic stand into a sword and starts fighting him.
I thought it was a floor lamp because it sparked when the guy hit it with his sword.
I think he hit another floor lamp that was plugged in against the wall.
So wait, Walker takes the dude out with a mic stand?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a mic stand.
That's so much better.
Right? So he's going back and forth, all this stuff, and dude, Walker takes out this guy with a mic stand. I couldn't have dreamed this up.
That's pretty good. Like very rarely does Walker do like the whole weapons combat. He'll do guns and he'll do hand to hand, but he very rarely does weapon combat. So it's a treat. So suffice it to say, Walker bests the dude with a mic stand. Ridiculous. And then Khan's trying to get away, and Trevette just like savagely punches him in the face around a corner, and that's it.
And Walker's like, all right, Lynn sisters, you can come out. It's safe now. We flash the CDs. The Lynn sisters are playing the benefit CDs there. And it's the full Ranger group with Alex there. And Trevette walks up. He's got a signed photo from the Lynn sisters. And everyone's kind of like, what do you got there, Trevette? He's like, oh, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's just, a signed photo from the Lynn sisters. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, well, that's kind of a big deal. He's like, well, yeah, it kind of is. And then they're like, oh yeah, they gave that to the whole department. They all got autographed the same picture you got. That's not special at all. But boom.
Classic Trevette burn to wrap the episode.
Well, that about sums up this episode. When we come back, it'll be time for us to each rate the Lynn sisters on a scale of 0 to 10 boots to the face, resulting in our patented Roundhouse Roulette episode ranking. Complete results of which are available on our website, roundhouseroulette.com. Don't go away. Hey, Bob, come help me with this box. We got to get these bootleg Tennessee Warbler CDs out of here before Adam gets back.
Ugh, who knew there was a market for this garbage?
I mean, they're mainly coasters, but, a buck's a buck, am I right?
Amen, brother.
All I had to do was copy the Tennessee Warbler's master DDP image from Adam's Dropbox while he was in the dumpa, forged his signature on an IPR form, and have my buddy at the morally ambiguous CD duplication hut whip these bad boys right up.
Easy money.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Adam, I thought you were still recovering from CD's chili.
This time it was more of a quick instant release situation. You know what I mean. But what do you guys got going on in the box there?
Nothing to see here, brother. We're just boxing up some online orders in our effort to deliver the light of Walker, Texas Ranger
to the world.
Podcast listeners, if you'd like to assist us in that mission, please share the pod with a friend or leave us a kind review on Apple Podcasts. It truly helps other Walkerites find the cast. And if you're feeling extra generous, come join us on Patreon or pick up a vintage action figure at roundhouseroulette.com.
Or DM me for bootleg Tennessee Warbler albums.
But what was that?
I didn't hear nothing.
Okay, well, we'd like to thank everyone who's helped us out, power the cast here, and fuel future shenanigans here at Roundhouse Roulette headquarters. Hey, do you guys want me to help you put those boxes in your car?
No. We good.
Yeah. Let's just get back to the show.
Welcome back. Who wants to go first on this episode?
I mean, Bob's first this time.
Am I up?
Yeah, you're up.
I guess I'll update the stats while we do this.
I don't need your stats.
I love it. I love it.
I'm going to speak from the heart on this one. So, the first half of this episode, I say the first 2 acts, I was kind of underwhelmed, to be honest. I mean, it did have a good pace. There was a lot of stuff going on. It just seemed like season 8, nothing to see here. It was on track for like a 5. Then the third act came along. And let me tell you.
I love that you think of these in acts. It's amazing.
you have to. I mean, you really do. That weird guy. And the whole way that they were going to kill the Lynn sisters, and that would make them money somehow. The main bad guy there, I don't know his name, he made some comment about he's going to sell each copy of the video for $100, and he's going to sell like
it was like a black
10,000
market murder video, right? Yeah, that's what it was going to be. No.
Bob, we just saw Fight to the Death. We know there's a market for this kind of thing.
It's true, and I guess I don't live in that world, so I wouldn't have thought that. But yeah, that whole storyline really just took off at the end. And all the bad guys in the fights, I mean, the fights were pretty heavy on Gage and Sydney, which, again, is to be expected this season. But I feel like they did get enough Walker and Trevette in there to kind of, it wasn't just those two, except for that one bar scene. But even then at the end, the other guys came in. I mean, it was so good. I mean, we didn't talk about this, but there was a Mike Tyson joke. Did you guys catch that?
That's
I
right.
missed it.
That's right.
The guy with
That's
the
right.
earring. They're like, I don't remember exactly what they said.
He
but
looks like he got his earring ripped out. Either that or he just fought with Mike Tyson.
yeah.
Oh, God.
Between that, the bar name, the studio name, the record company name, it really came together at the end. And a Trevette burn to top it off. I'm giving this one an 8. Feeling pretty good about it.
I like it.
I mean, this episode was everything. It was hilarious. This certainly passes if you want someone to know what Walker Texas Ranger is, this would be an episode to point them to, right? Like weird detective work that just gets you there, just as a plot device. Crazy action sequences, like bad guys that don't make any sense. I mean, all of it. Even like the guys blowing up their business. If you're trying to like slip away secretly, why would you put a damn bomb in your business?
Or executioner style, take out 4 bodies and leave them in a tour van.
Right? Like, what are we doing here?
You go to the dressing room and say, "Hey, we got an urgent call. We need you to come down here for a second." And then they're like, "Where are the Lynn sisters?" You don't go execution style their whole staff.
Right. And like oftentimes it'll be like one bad guy who's got like 2 or 3 henchmen. And like you kind of get to know those guys. And I don't care about getting to know them. I just want to see more guys get taken out. This episode had so many dudes getting taken out. And like everyone had their own set of henchmen. You got the mercenaries who were like ridiculous and out of control. You get this impoundment in the middle of the woods that had, people in trench coats and kimonos getting taken out. And then you've got the granddaddy of them all, James Taylor in a satin shirt with a Indiana Jones hat and a freaking cutlass doing ninja moves around 2 pop stars trying to record a song. Oh, and he's going to take them out at the end. So ridiculous. It's so insane. I mean, and honestly, like for season 8, Walker did a lot in this episode, right? And also they like built up the legend of him too, where like they like say his name and he jumps through a window. I don't know. I found this episode incredibly entertaining. I mean, it's at least an 8, and honestly, like I look back at some of the episodes that were so over the top, and I regret not giving them a better rating. I got to give this one a 9. Like,
Nice.
it's just so nuts.
Wow.
All right, so where's Adam at on this one then?
I was laughing at this. I was entertained by this. The flow of the episode was better than most any we'd ever seen. The only episode I could say moved as fast as this one was Black Dragons. And that one we all gave pretty high regard to. But this, I think, was solid all the way through. There was more ridiculous stuff in this one with the guy with the sword, the whole bootleg music thing. Walker taking a guy out with a mic stand, Gage throwing a guy through the recording studio glass window. This is a 10 for me. Done.
Ooh,
I'm going there.
nice.
As a whole, this episode just delivered for me, and I would say this might have been more enjoyable overall than Sons of Thunder Part 1 that I gave a 10. So I'm gonna go with that.
So that gives this episode a roundhouse rating, a hefty roundhouse rating of 9 boots to the face. And I think we can all agree that the music industry is not for the faint of heart. But please let us know what you think of on social media by emailing us at roundhouseroulette@gmail.com. When we come back, we're going to spin that roundhouse roulette wheel and select our next episode. We're back. Bob, you ready to spin that thing?
You know it.
Okay, Season 8, Episode 4, Way of the Warrior.
Oh, boy.
Back in season 8, huh? Okay.
It's going to be hard to top this one for season 8. Like, Walker did a fair amount in this episode.
Yeah, but maybe there'll be a weird guy with a sword.
That guy definitely tipped the scale.
That'll
that
bail
guy,
out any episode. I mean,
That's
that
a
dude,
wild card right there.
that dude was worth at least 2 points for me, maybe 4.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Okay, Way of the Warrior. An Indian shaman transports Walker 100 years into the past to clear a Comanche brave accused of murder. Okay, so this is, I think, the aforementioned time travel episode.
Ugh, I can't. I just can't.
A season 8 time travel. So do you think Gage and Sydney have counterparts in the past or no?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like we're going to see Chuck do some time traveling. Which I've never seen this episode, I don't think.
My guess is this is sort of more like The Matrix, where he's like in a Walker's like in a coma,
Ooh, yeah.
and then in his mind he's doing this in the past, like Neo.
I don't know.
That's my prediction.
We'll
Throwing it
see.
out there. We'll see. Okay, well, we hope you'll join us next time when we share our reactions to Season 8, Episode 4, Way of the Warrior. Will it topple the Lynn sisters as Season 8's best episode? We'll find out. In the meantime, share your opinions with us on Facebook and Instagram at Roundhouse Roulette and Twitter at Roundhouse Pod. And please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and until next time,
May the eyes of the Ranger be upon you.
When you're in Texas, look behind you. Oh, 'cause that's where the Ranger's gonna be.